Let's assume that what we are trying to track is all of the relationships related, all the data related to a relationship with a given client. The client you have in front of you right now is our own organization, where you can keep track of the primary contact people, as well as all of the company details that is relevant to engaging in a business relationship with that client. We use this system internally even for whenever we are calling each other and having conversations internally as well. We have, for the sake of this demonstration, an unknown organization that we'd like to be able to keep track of. And we've got really a name generated out of a name generator, a first name and a surname selected with an unknown number, while we have another number when testing, which is internal, which will be answered by somebody internally here. But this allows us to be able to demonstrate a few things. A very quick way to be able to keep track of a given client, just overall comments, not about a given phone call, just general information about notes against the organization or against the specific person is maintained here as just contact notes or client notes. And to add a client note is simple. You would just type in and say, this is a test, and that's it. You've immediately got a statement which says this is a test, and it's date and timestamp with the current user who's logged in. And you can see at the bottom side here that after I've logged in, it knows what date it is, the numbers they're operating with, who's currently logged in, and we can keep track of all of that information here. Similarly, if you had to be able to want to make a note against the client, we can say still unknown, and as there. We do not keep track here, and there's no reason at this point in time to want to worry about spelling or grammatical checks. It really is a space to rapidly make a note against a person. In fact, all of this is applicable in the same way. This is not for the end user, for our clients to see, but it's something for our team to know where we're at with a given client or with a given contact person within that client. Now, if a client was to phone us, and let's assume that Richard phones in, we'd use the incoming call that it says this is the number he's calling, and if in fact the number that he's calling in is a different number that we can see from our caller ID, we would use that as a starting point, and it may be that this is a sales inquiry which we then track. Our system integrates into a voice over IP system called 3CX, and you can dial that number and know that your hands are free. If you're using a headset or you're using your speakers, you'd be able to converse with that person, making notes about the conversation. And as the conversation progresses, you'd be able to add additional notes, know what this is about, and then when your call is done, you'd be able to keep track and now knows how long it's been. You may want to say that actually that was a Teams call, or it was a WhatsApp call, or different form of communication up here. And once you've done with that, you say okay, and now that particular phone call is now stored in here as one of the calls made. As you can see, this is a call which came in from Richard, while the arrow points to say this is a call I've made to Richard on what date, what time. Your detailed billing on your 3CX PBX can confirm the telephone numbers and the details which we match against that. Now let's assume that Richard, when he called in, had asked for a specific favor to be done or a piece of work to be completed, and for that reason what we would do is we would say we'd create a test. Now it may be that we would delegate this to somebody else, and to open up a ticket is fairly simple. We would say, here's the ticket, give me the basic details. This is an unknown person, and that unknown person needs help. and we can fairly rapidly, without even touching my keyboard, know that we can say, whoops, let's just go and put that down as hi, task is open, it's assigned to myself, this is a general category, and this is a sample. Now, that's the minimum information I need to say, let's save it. As soon as that is done, it takes that and it emails me a ticket to say whoever it was assigned to receives immediately thereafterwards an email address, and it actually sits in my outbox. So whoever created the ticket, it sits in their sent items as being a ticket which was created, which gives me the basic information about that ticket. I can now track that ticket's progress, adding additional notes, find out whether it's been billed, whether this is a billable ticket or not. And then also, wherever we edit this information, we would keep track of the version and which date it was modified, who modified by it, and be able to roll back to previous versions. Now, what is really nice is that, as you can take a look at here, it may be that in your team, you've got people who you wanted to track their progress against known qualifications. And for that reason, let me just step into a different subsystem of this, and that is our entire qualifications management process. It may be that somebody within your team is working to be a qualified software developer, and this information is directly linked to the Quality Council for Trades and Occupation in our country, and particularly this is an MICT qualification, where off the government gives their documentation, we extract what the purpose and the rationale is for this qualification, along with what are the training titles that have to be linked to it, that says these are courses or books that must have been read to make sure that you are competent, at least from a knowledge management point of view. These are your knowledge modules. And then again, for any of these as well, you may find that you've got specific exit level outcomes that says you must have been able to provide end user with support. Now you'll notice that some of the qualifications have got exit levels which are duplicates. It may be that if you were to be a data science practitioner, you may have to have similar ones, which means that if you've completed the knowledge management component of that particular set, as we then need to track your actual experience within that space. And that is what we do in the next area here. So in this space, it may be that one ticket that you've closed or opened actually bears relevance onto multiple qualifications, and you'd earn credits against each of that. We know that when this ticket is completed, we estimated that it should take, for a person who is effective at this, may take them 10 minutes or 15 minutes, but the actual duration shows an area of development that is required. And so when all of this is done, we would be able to have a comprehensive program which is part of our patented skills passport system, that says that we'd be able to, in your passport, mark that you've completed each of the relevant sections, and that those sections that once it's been marked as completed would say that the exit level outcomes are completed. The instructor is asked to sign off on it. We print this out and it goes into your skills passport. This means that the entire environment allows you to be able to watch the improvement of staff as they solve problems quicker. It means that we can extract from this a range of reports that shows how much time has been spent by which consultant on which client, and we can give a comprehensive overall report on the total number of tickets per client per month, and we can show how many hours we spent. This then can go straight into your billing and rolled up as each individual line item forms a different line item on the invoice which has been issued to the client, so that we'd be able to say one invoice per month as part of an SLA agreement would show that all of these tickets which were closed for a given period of time. It's also possible from here now to take a look at those tickets which are just my tickets related to this, and I can manage my tickets separately from tickets which are everybody else is responsible. So as you can see, this is a solid CRM environment where we're managing the client relationship completely, but with a specific focus around making sure that we're making promises to clients and making sure that we can improve our ability to deliver on those promises constantly.